Hey, this is Earl with ESP. We are installing a tonneau cover, an Extang tonneau cover on this 2022 GMC Denali Ultimate. Pretty nice truck, so we're going to get started here. I'm just taking all the bolts and everything out of the bag to get started on the install. This is actually going to be a more complicated install than we've done before. Because there's a lot of different stuff, because this has the Carbon Pro bed, which is the composite bed on the truck. So there's it's not a typical tonneau cover install. There's a lot more that's involved. So we'll get going here pretty quick. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be putting on this weather seal that goes on the back bulkhead. And what we do first on this is you want to make sure that the material is clean of any wax, dirt, anything like that, glue, anything like that might be on there. So I'm using a wax and grease remover by Duplicolor to clean it. Okay, so the next thing we got to do is we got to install these U-nuts, and how we're going to do that is I'm using a trim tool. Got to get underneath here, and there's 5 of them. And you'll see here there's these square cutouts, and then there's a hole right next to it. So what you do is you just take the, kind of pry back this thing here, take the U-nut, probably get it on the other side, might like that. Slide it in the hole and then get it to where it snaps into that. And there's 5 of them on each side. So there's one in here, one here, and then there's 3 more along that way, and it's going to be the same on both sides. Okay, so the next thing we got to do is we have to drill holes through this plastic rail, cap rail, and what we're going to be doing is where we just put the U-nuts in, we're going to slide this template underneath between the two pieces, and then line it up with the hole in the U-nut. And then use a 9/32 drill bit and go through this. This back off. Okay, now we got to clean this hole up a little bit. And we're going to do that on all 10 holes. But first what I'm going to do is make sure that I've got the hole in the right location by putting this bolt in. And looks like it fits. So you know, if you want to do this, you can put these in now, because these have to go in anyways before the rails go on, because this is that, you know, the rails are going to sit in slots. The bolts are going to go into a slot on top of these rails here. So I'm just going to put them in it as I go. All right, the next thing we're going to do is drill a hole for the drain hose. I've already got this one over here drilled in. You can see it goes in, it hooks in up here and then kind of comes down and goes into this hole that we're going to drill. Now it's a 7/8 drill bit. I don't have a 7/8 drill bit, so I'm using this one. So I'm going to have to open up the hole a little bit, which is no big deal, but makes it a little bit more difficult if you don't have the right drill. The other thing you want to make sure of is that you're very careful when you're drilling into this spot, because behind here is another piece of metal that will stop it from going into the bed of the truck. But if you go through that, if you go too much, then you're going to poke into the side of the bed and cause a lot of damage. So just take your time and drill. Give it a little bit of pressure, and when it first grabs, that means you're going through the composite. So what I do is I just kind of work it here and then back it up, and then kind of get this out of here. Okay, so now we're going to put the hose in. I've got the hole cut to the right size. This is going to be a lot longer than we need, so we're going to take and cut at a 45 angle. And we're going to put this in and kind of have it curved so that it'll start going downhill. You just want to feed that in there until you've got enough room to hook it up to the drain right here. You just pop that on there and you're good to go. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put the seal on. I've already cleaned the bulkhead here with a wax and grease remover and let it dry because it's cold today. So just take a little bit of the backing off, put it on here and just give it a good press, and then peel it all the way. And then what you'll do is kind of eyeball it, make sure it's in the center, pull this all back out all the way, and then kind of just pull it, and then go ahead and press it down all the way. And then we'll take our knife and cut this end off. All right, so this part of it's done. What I'm going to do now is, because we've drilled and there's all kinds of plastic and stuff in here, I'm going to go ahead and just clean out the bed so that there's not a bunch of garbage in here, so it looks nice for the customer when he sees it for the first time. All right, we just unpackaged it and then set it up here on the front. And what you want to do is you want to make sure, because this is where the bolts are going to go in that bolt it down. You want to make sure that it sits over here and it's even here. But before we even put the bolts in, what we want to do is make sure that it's aligned correctly. So we're going to close it. All the way to the back here. And that closes good. So then we're going to see where it sits there. And that actually looks pretty good. Now the back of the bulkhead, it bows a little bit. So, if it looks like it's off center in the middle, it's right at the edge, and then it's off here. Well, I've got it to where it's pretty much the same distance here to here as it is over on the other side. All right, so now what we'll do is open this up. This is actually a really good cover as far as theft proof, because a lot of the ones that we sell, including the backflip, have a cable back here. This has a latch that, with a cable you could take a hanger and go inside and kind of hook it and pull it and get it out. But this has this latch, so that's actually a nice feature. What we're going to do is we're going to take 2 washers, 2 rubber washers, 2 bolts, and 2 nuts, and we're going to go over here. And we're going to slide one bolt in here, and then one in here. And what's going to happen is when this comes down, you need to line them up so they go into the slot so that they can be bolted down. We'll bring that down, and then we'll go to the other side. So then we're going to climb in and get these things tightened down. I'm going to set this to 8 on the torque so that it stops. Okay, so now we have to put in the clips for the straps, where you'll clamp it down when you're running this thing with it open but not all the way up. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these threaded sleeves, put one through each hole, and then put your fingers on them so you don't lose them. And then the open end is going to go down. So what I do is I'll take a screw, put it in there to get it started, and then take my screw gun and just start it here. And then take the other screw and put it in, and then get this one started. And then I've got this set at 7 on the torque setting if you're going to use a Milwaukee screw gun. Alright, so now you'll have them like this, and then these snap into here to keep the cover from flying open, and then you just adjust it. But now we've got to tighten the bolts underneath, and once I get all these tightened, then we'll test it one more time, make sure that everything's good, and then we'll be all done. All right, so it's all done. So I've got these, I've got it in the up position. So these actually just, you use this little red lever to pull these off, or you just snap it on there and then clip it back in the side. And then just, if you're gonna have this open while you're driving, put these in here and give it a tug. And this, what these straps do is these keep the lid from flying back when you're driving. Hold it back. Let it drop down. Close the tailgate. And there we go. Now this isn't completely waterproof. None of them are. There isn't a tonneau cover out there that is completely waterproof, except for the fiberglass ones that are like, that tilt up. But these, they do a pretty good job of keeping the water out, but you're still going to get some water in through in this area here, down through the edge of the tailgate, and possibly up in the corners, because it doesn't completely seal it. But for the most part, it's going to keep everything dry when you're going through a torrential downpour or anything. So, but that's what this one is, and you can check these out on our website at esptruck.com. Thanks for watching.